so today's lesson is 1-2, which is divide multi-digit decimals. For the warm-up, we are just we're practicing our division with whole numbers, okay? All right, so for number 1, we have 228 divided by 19. Now, I'm going to be giving the example, I'm going to be doing my examples using the traditional method, okay, of division. So here, we've got our division. And when you're setting up your division, remember the thing that we're dividing by goes on the outside, and then the 228 here goes on the inside. So we have 228 divided by 19, okay? And now we divide. So how many times does 19 go into 22? Okay, so 1 times 19 is 19, and then we subtract. And then here, of course, we need to borrow here. So now we have 12 minus 9 is 3. Now, we're going to bring down the 8. So now, how many times does 19 go into 38?
2.
Twice. So 2 times 19 is 38. And there we have our 0 remainder. All right, so for number 2, again, traditional. The divided by goes on the outside. And we have 2,583 divided by 21. So how many times does 21 go into 25? Once. 1 times 21, of course, 21, and we subtract. Then we're going to bring down the 8. And how many times does 21 go into 48? Twice. So 2 times 21 is 42. So then we subtract, and then of course we bring down the 3. And how many times does 21 go into 63? 3 times. And 3 times 21 is 63. And there we have our 0 remainder. So with decimals, when dividing by decimals, it is helpful to change the divisor to a whole number. You can do this by multiplying both the divisor and the dividend by a power of 10. So the divisor is a whole number. Okay? You don't have to write that down. You do need to write down this diagram. So in other words, if we have a problem like this, dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. Okay? The dividend is the number that's being divided. The divisor is the thing that we're dividing by. And of course, the quotient is the answer. Okay? So, the first thing we want to do is we want the divisor to be a whole number. So to do this, to make that divisor a whole number, we move the decimal to the right until it becomes a whole number. And then after we do that, then because we moved the divisor, we also need to move the decimal in the dividend the same number of times. And then, once you do that, you have all your decimals moved, then you divide like normal. So for example 1, we are dividing decimals. So here we are dividing 52 hundredths divided by 1 3/10. And again, you guys, we're going to do this using our traditional model, okay? So the divided by, remember, goes on the outside. So that 1.3 goes out here. And the 52 hundredths, 0.52, goes under the division sign, okay? Now, what's the first thing we need to do? Into a whole number. Very good. So we need to move the decimal in the divisor. How many times? One time. So if I move the decimal in the divisor one time, then that means I need to also move this decimal in the dividend one time. And then, of course, that decimal comes straight up. That decimal comes straight up. So now we can start dividing like normal. So 13 goes into 5 0 times. 0 times 13 is 0. And then we subtract. And then we're going to go ahead and bring down that 2. And now 13 goes into 52. How many times? 4 times. Very good. So 4 times 13 gives us 52. And that gives us a 0 remainder. So here we have 2 times question mark equals 8. We want to know what operation can we use to figure out what the question mark is. This is going to help us when we are working with word problems. Okay. So yeah, we're going to use division. So the operation that we are going to use is division. We're going to use division to figure out what the question mark is. And that division problem is going to be 8 divided by 2 equals the question mark. Okay? All right. So here, Mark spends $24.85 on rice for his restaurant. If rice costs 71 cents per pound, how many pounds did Mark buy? Okay? So the first thing we want to do when we are looking at word problems, okay, I'll put this up here. First thing we want to do is we want to write down our important information. Remember, you do not have to write the entire word problem. So what's important here? All right, so the important information that you're going to write down in your notebook is that he spends $24.85. The rice costs 71 cents per pound, and the question is, how many pounds did he buy? Okay? Now, let me ask you this. What word here tells me the operation? Good. Per, as you remember from yesterday's lesson, per means that we're going to multiply. Per means we're going to multiply. So here, you guys, follow me, follow me. This says 71 cents per pound, right? So that's 71 cents times the number of pounds. I'm going to do LB for pounds. 71 cents times the number of pounds. And what's that going to give me? That's going to give me how much he spent. So that's $24.85. Does everybody see that? You remember the example we just did? So we want to change this multiplication problem into a division problem. Is everybody with me? So what is the division problem we're going to write? So the division problem that we're going to write is $24.85 divided by the 71 cents, and that's going to equal the number of pounds he bought. Okay? So now we can do that division problem. So again, we're going to use our traditional model. So we've got $24.85. That goes on the inside, and on the outside, the divided by 0.71. Now, the first thing we want to do when we're doing the traditional model of division is move the decimal until the divisor becomes a whole number. So how many times am I going to move it? Twice. Very good. And if I move it twice in the divisor, I need to move it twice in the dividend. And then we're going to bring that decimal straight up. And now we just divide like normal. Okay? So 71 goes into 248 how many times? That goes in 3 times. So 3 times 71. So 3 times 1 is 3. Then 3 times 7 is 21. And then we subtract. So this is going to be 8 minus 3 is 5. And 4 minus 1 is 3. And now we're going to bring down the 5 so we can continue dividing. And how many times does 71 go into 355? 5 times. So this is going to be 5 times 71 is 355. And there's my 0 remainder. So here we have our answer 35. And what is my label going to be? 35 what? What are they asking us for? How many pounds? So this is going to be 35 pounds. All right. With division, annexing zeros, if there are not enough decimal places in the dividend, you need to annex zeros to the right of the dividend until the quotient is found. Okay, make sure you write that in your notebook. So example 2, we're going to divide multi-digit decimals, and this time we're going to use this rule that you just wrote down, okay? So again, we've got the divided by goes on the outside of the division sign. So here we go, divided by the 0.25 goes out here, and the 85 thousandths goes inside, 0.085. All right, so first thing again we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal until what? Until it becomes a whole number. Very good. So we're going to move this decimal twice in the divisor, and then we're going to move the decimal twice in the dividend, and then that decimal comes straight up. Okay, and now we can start dividing like normal. So let's see. 25 goes into 8 how many times? 0. 0 times. 0 times 25, 0. Then we subtract 8. And now we're going to bring down that 5. And how many times does 25 go into 85? 3 times. Very good. 3 times. So 3 times 25 is 75. And then we subtract. We've got a remainder. We don't want a remainder, right? So what do I need to do? I need to annex the 0. So we want to annex the 0. So we add a 0. And then I'm going to bring that down. Okay? So we're going to bring that down. And now we can continue dividing. So 25 goes into 100 how many times?
4.
4 times. And 4 times 25, of course, is 100. And now we have a 0 remainder. So Mr. Ahmed is buying dried pasta for his kindergarten art class. He is buying 3.5 pounds of macaroni noodles, 1.75 pounds of rotini noodles, and 0.85 pounds of bow tie pasta. If the project requires 25/100 pound of pasta for each student, how many students can use the materials Mr. Ahmed bought? So, work on this with your table partners. I'll give you 5 minutes. All right, so the first thing we want to do on this problem is write down our important information. So, what's the important information? So we've got 3.5 pounds of macaroni. We have 1.75 pounds of rotini. We have 85/100 pounds of bow tie. We also know that the project requires 25/100 pounds of pasta for each student. And we want to know how many students can use the materials, okay? All right, so what's the first thing we need to do? So now we just need to add up all the pounds of noodles. So that's the first thing we need to do. So this is 3.5. And remember, when you're adding decimals, you line up the decimals, right? So that's 1.75 for rotini, and then 0.85 for the bow tie. So we're going to add those all together. We've got 10 here, carry the 1. So that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, carry the 2, bring down my decimal, and then that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Do I need this trailing 0 here? No. So we don't need that. So this is 6.1 pounds of pasta, right? Now, when we're looking at this word problem, what word in this word problem, what word tells me the operation we need to do? Good. Each tells me that I need to multiply. Each tells me that I need to multiply. Fine. What am I multiplying? So here it says 0.25 pounds times the number of students. Does everybody see that? It's right there in the words. So we have 0.25 times, each means multiply, the number of students. And what's that going to give me? That's going to give me the total number of pounds of pasta. So that's going to be 6.1. Okay? What operation am I going to do here to solve this, to get the number of students? Good. Very good. So we are going to divide. And what is the division problem we're going to come up with? What is the division problem we're going to do? Excellent. So here, the division problem we're going to do is 6.1 divided by 0.25 equals the number of students. Is everybody clear? So here, we're going to use the traditional model for division, and we're dividing by the 2500ths. So we have 6.1 inside, and we have 0.25 right there on the outside. So now we move the decimal in the divisor 2 times to make it a whole number. So that means we need to move the decimal in the dividend 2 times to make it match up. So here, I don't have a 0 here, so this is where we need to annex the 0. Okay? And now you just divide like normal. So 25 goes into 61 2 times. 2 times 25 is 50. And then we subtract. That gives us 11. And then we're going to bring down the 0. Now, 25 goes into 110 4 times. So 4 times 25 is 100. And then we subtract. And then we have to annex another 0 here, because we don't want to have any remainder. So we're going to annex another 0 and bring that down. Now 25 goes into 100 4 times. Oh, I apologize. Forgot, when you move the decimal over here, you got to bring the decimal straight up. So now, let me just finish this problem. So 4 times 25 is 100. And now we have a 0 remainder. So the question was, how many students can use the pasta that was purchased? So here we have 24.4 students. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't believe we can have 0.4 students, right? So in this case, only 24 students, okay? In a real life situation, only 24 students can use the materials, can use the pasta. And there's my final answer. All right.